Well, with 3 games left in our first season in charge here at Lokomotive Leipzig, all we need are 4 points from them to make sure that we do get promoted up to the Free Liga. Can we get the job done while Energie Cottbus continue to apply the pressure? And if we do get the job done, will we turn professional? Hello everyone and welcome to episode 8 of the Leipzig Loko here with Lokomotive Leipzig on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we end the first season here in charge in the Regionalliga Nordost and hopefully can win the league title and get promoted up to the Free Liga. As I said during that intro, 3 games left, 2 of them at home, 1 away from home, all against teams who, despite being 5th, 6th and 7th on the league table, we have beaten earlier in the season. We just need 4 points from those games no matter what Energie Cottbus do behind us, and that will be enough for us to go up to the Free Liga. So if you're looking forward to the end of the season in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But yesterday we got through the 3 games prior to these last 3. In today's episode, if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. First up, we took on Babelsberg at home and picked up a pretty comfortable 3-0 win there, even though it did take until the second half for us to get on the score sheet. We took on bottom of the table Luckenwalder off camera and picked up 3 more points there. It did mean a win in our next game against BFC Dynamo may have been enough if Energie Cottbus did slip up to secure the league title, but unfortunately it was us who slipped up, losing 2-1 away from home against the only team so far that we have played against in this division who we have not beaten. So fair play there to BFC Dynamo. Also Osman Atilgan, our starting left winger, did pick up an injury, which does mean he is likely to be out for the rest of this season, but we are still in a good position to be picking up the league title, 6 points clear of Energie Cottbus with only 3 games left. They really need to win all their remaining games. I say we need 4 points to absolutely lift the league title. Truth be told, with our goal differential, it is probably only 3 points that we do need, and hopefully we can get the job done in this first game of today's episode to at least get the 3 points and put ourselves in a position where we should be lifting the league title, albeit hopefully in the second game we can pick up a point if we do need to. And we are taking on Berlin. And to be fair, our last 3 games are a little bit tricky, taking on the teams 5th, 6th and 7th on the league table. But as I said, they are 3 teams who so far this season we did beat the first time that we did play them, in Berlin around about where they were expected to be at the start of this season. They come into this one in a bit of a mixed patch of form, 2 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw from their last 5 games, including a 3-1 loss to our title rivals in Energie Cottbus. But hopefully we can pick up a win and, as I said, get right on the verge. If not, if Energie Cottbus do slip up, we can pick up the league title and move up to the Free Liga. In comparison, just having a look quickly at the run home for Energie Cottbus, I believe their first game is definitely the most tricky of the ones that they do have left remaining over a Hertha Berlin 2 side who have really found some good form in the second part of the season. Maybe the first team made some improvements in January, and that does mean they've been able to strengthen up the second team during the course of the second part of the season. They did beat us before BFC Dynamo did a few games prior to that one and have won 4 straight since then. So definitely a form team going into that matchup where they do take on Energie Cottbus. Hopefully those guys can do us a favour and 4th on the league table. And off the back of that, the other games that Energie Cottbus do have remaining, they take on Rot-Weiss Erfurt down in 13th. And off the back of that, their last game against TB Berlin down in 14th. So you think they'll pick up wins in those last 2 games. I think the game, as I said, they're most likely to potentially drop points in is this first one against Hertha Berlin too. But in terms of us going into this one, obviously Noah Tilgan with that injury. Also Linus Zimmer is out with a suspension, so it does mean we just have Saluski out there as a left back option. But hopefully, as I said, we can pick up a win and get right on the verge. If not, if Energie Cottbus do slip up, maybe even get promoted up to the Free Liga. We'll come back shortly with the team sheets and hopefully get the job done against Berliner AK. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. We come into this one in probably the most mixed form that we have had so far this season. 2 losses, in amongst our last 5, just that one change Dombrava over a Tilgan at left wing because he is out injured, and as I said, also no Zimmer on the bench with a suspension. There were Berliner. We did beat them early this season, so hopefully at home we can do the same job here, and as I said, we might be able to secure promotion up to the Free Liga with a few games spare if Energie Cottbus do slip up against Hertha Berlin too. And just shy of the 5-minute mark, we get our first highlight here of this game, and it is a goal kick there to the opposition in Berliner, but thankfully we win that one, and Heinke plays that one forward to the new addition to the team for today's game in Dombrava. Also, Saluski does get a start in this one. Now Heinke out to Dombrava. Nice ball there from Abdullah Mane. It somehow falls through to Ziani. He pokes that one home, but unfortunately he was offside, so an early chance for us there, but Ziani can't quite keep onside. Still 0-0 coming up to the 10-minute mark. And in fact, right off the back of that, just as I was trying to wrap things up, we do now have a free kick. Saluski looks at that top left corner, goes a lot closer than I anticipated. It comes off the post, doesn't quite sneak its way in. 2 decent chances for us early. Also, Abdullah Mane's picked up an early yellow card, but still 0-0 coming up to the 15-minute mark. And about 10 minutes off the back of that previous highlight, we are now down the other end here for a throw-in to Berliner, but we do deal with that danger somewhat. Now it is there Saluski who will pump that one deep, but unfortunately nowhere near any of our players in Berliner here do get a chance to get back on the attack. Nice ball over there for Richter down their right wing. Tries to play a ball there into the box. Big deflection, falls to a player right on the edge, and Heinke brings him down inside the box. It's a penalty yellow card, and Jasula here with a chance from the penalty spot, and this is not how we want to end the season. Jurgen Jasula puts that one away, and we do fall 1-0 behind here at home, despite the fact we had those good chances earlier. Free kick which came off the post. Also Ziani did put the ball in the back of the net, but was offside. But a poor start for us here. A few yellow cards. We give away a penalty, and we go 1-0 down. And that was it for the first half of this first game in today's episode, and we are 1-0 down thanks to that penalty that we did give away about halfway through the first half. Since then, no highlights, and to be fair, none of our players performing that well. Everyone just on an average rating. We've also picked up a few yellow cards, so because of that, we are going to make some changes here at halftime. Both of the yellow carded players will come off, so Piplica will come on for Heinke. It does mean we can move that DM back to a ball-winning midfielder. Also, Weigl will come on for Abdullah Mane, despite the fact Ricardo Grimm not actually playing that well on a 6.3. We'll just make sure that that player not easing off tackles. Also, Ziani on a 6.4 will bring on Kevin Zizek for the second half as well. So 3 changes there used at halftime. Hopefully that wakes up the boys, as well as the fact we're going to rip into them just a little bit here at halftime. Based on stats, we have been the better team as per usual, but because of that penalty, we're going to get things back underway. 1-0 down. And around 10 minutes into the second half, we get the first highlight of it. And again, here it is a throw into Berliner inside the final third, or near enough, as Energie Cottbus there do take a lead over Hertha Berlin 2, albeit not for long. So that's an interesting result we might need to keep an eye out on, albeit it won't matter if we can't pick up a winner. Nesto does try and clear that one away, and thankfully Saluski does find Dombrava down that left-hand side. Now we get the ball up there to Weigl, starts to cut infield, plays the ball forward, and Kevin Zizek on the attack. It's a shot there from a bit of a tight angle and a fair way out. Unfortunately, again though, we do hit the post, so still 1-0 down, just coming up now to the hour mark, albeit we get the ball back here in a highlight only a few minutes later. Looking to play out from the back here, Eaglezetta will pick out Pfeffer, plays a nice ball over the top. Kevin Zizek does miss out. They try and clear that one. It does fall rather fortunately to our player, and we get a penalty, I think, because Weigl gets brought down inside the box, and Pfeffer with a chance from the penalty spot, but it's saved from their goalkeeper in Zvik. That is a big chance. Still 1-0 down, albeit shortly off the back of that, we do get a corner. Dombrava gets that ball after it is headed away. Now Pfeffer will find Zizek at the far post. He tucks it away, and he is onside. I thought there he might just be off because he was in a ton of space, and thankfully that missed penalty does not hurt us for too long. Pfeffer picks up an assist to make up for the fact that penalty was saved. Zizek certainly could have made that one easier with the finish, a little bit too close for comfort. to the goalkeeper, but eventually we make it 1-1 with a half hour left. And in fact, right off the back of that equaliser, I think we're going to make a substitution here, a bit of an interesting one. Ricardo Grimm not playing well on a 6.3. Have just noted that Panzu Ernesto can actually play in the midfield, so we're going to make an interesting sub here. Vufak will come on for Grimm, and he will switch with Ernesto for this last half hour off the back of us, grabbing an equaliser to make it 1-1. And just about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game, still 1-1. It's a free kick there in our favour, taken by our goalkeeper. Thankfully, we do get the ball back from it and try now and play out from the back. It is now Fefo again, trying to get something going down this right-hand side. Weigl almost trips over there. Zizek, who was offside, might have interfered there with a potential initial shot he was looking at, but still a decent save there from the Berliner goalkeeper, who is having a pretty good game, having saved a penalty earlier just before we did grab the equaliser. They do deal with the danger from that corner, and now Richter might even do something here on the counter-attack. I think here if we can pick up 3 points with the score as it is in the other game, it would be enough, but thankfully the opposition do put that shot just wide off the back of that counter-attack, which they did have going on, and that does mean with about 12 minutes left, it is still 1-1 while we are here. I think it might be time for us to make our last substitution, with Saluski having picked up a yellow card. David Urban can cover right back and Vufak left back, so we'll make that change, and those will be all our subs used. Still 1-1 late in this one. And only a few minutes off the back of that previous highlight and that last substitution, yet again it's a free kick in our favour taken by the goalkeeper, and yet again thankfully we do win the ball back with our defence. Vufak plays that one back to Isadogan just outside of the box. We get it up to our centre back and Eagles-Zeta. He finds Panzu Ernesto, nice ball there to find Fefa in a bit of space down that right-hand side. Weigl switches that one forward to Kevin Zizek. He is onside, his 9th goal of the season. That could be a big one to potentially give us all 3 points off the back of that. We are going to drop to a positive mentality. This is a big goal after going 1-0 down in the first half. Thankfully, got one back around the hour mark. And Kevin Zizek as well as Weigl, 2 players off of the bench. They do link up there off the back of that ball from Fefa, and we make it 2-1 with only 5 minutes left. And in fact, we have a highlight immediately from the restart off the back of grabbing the lead. Just made one change there and putting Piplica back to a ball-winning midfielder on defend, because we just moved him up 2-1 on support prior to that previous highlight. So hopefully him back on defend does mean we can hold on to this 1-goal lead. But Weigl now is on the ball. Slide tackle, thankfully, falls quite kindly there to Don Glover, and Weigl is in the box. We'll pick out Panzu Ernesto, moving forward to that central attacking midfield role. He will grab his first goal of the season. Obviously, for most of the season, he has played it right back. He heads that one home, and that should now guarantee all 3 points with only 5 minutes left. It's a quick fire double, and what a time for it. Panzu Ernesto heads that one home. Julian Weigl has had a big hand during the second half, coming off of the bench, of course, for Abdullamane, and we now enter injury time and keeping a big eye out on the result from the other game. And Hertha Berlin are beating Energie Cottbus, so it does mean we just needed that one game. In today's episode, we left it very late, but did pick up a 3-1 win there over Berliner AK. Obviously, it did stay 2-1, Hertha Berlin 2 over Energie Cottbus. They have found some really good form late this season, and that does mean we are now 9 points clear of our past title rivals with only 2 games left this season. So it just took the one game to secure the Regionalliga Nordost title, and it does mean we are going to be going up to the Free Liga for next season. And back in the inbox off the back of that 3-1 win over Berliner AK, and obviously that 2-1 defeat which was suffered by Energie Cottbus, and it does mean we have picked up the Regionalliga Nordost moving forward here through some of the articles off the back of that, mainly to see if we are getting any update on a transfer budget for next season, as well as to see if the club is going to turn professional straight away, as I'm pretty sure all teams up in the Free Liga are professional. Also, as per usual here on the channel, as soon as we win one trophy, we move our way into the Hall of Fame for New Zealand managers. But just going up a bit further, we do bring glory to Lokomotive Leipzig the second time they have won this title. As you can see, that was back in 2019-20, so it hasn't been too long since they were last down in this division and picking up the Regionalliga Nordost. The board delighted with progress. They weren't expecting promotion up to the Free Liga until the end of the 2025-26 season, so certainly they are happy about that being 3 years ahead of schedule. But as of now, I can't see any updates in terms of what I was looking for in transfer budgets and whether the club is going to turn professional going in to that free Liga season next year. So I think we'll come back if we get any updates, and we'll play those last 2 games off camera before we get stuck in to the first end of season review here for the Leipzig Loko. And going forward a few clicks off the back of securing the league title here at Lokomotive Leipzig, it seems like everyone at the club had a very good night out, because it's taken until around about midday the next day until they have got back to us about potentially turning professional, getting promotion up to the free Liga. Also, we do have transfer budgets as well, but first off, we will attend this meeting to see if the club are going to turn professional. As you would expect, they'd like our opinion. I think we'll tell them it's a great idea. Obviously, being a semi-pro club against mostly professional clubs, probably not a great idea, albeit it might be a little bit tricky for the first transfer window then. Might not quite have as much money as we otherwise would have, because we'll have to put our players onto full-time contracts from their current part-time and non-contract ones, but it does look like the club is going to turn professional come July 2023. And also, of course, we do get our transfer budget going into our first season up in the free Liga. No money at all to spend on transfers, but the wage budget is £25,000 a week. Going over and having a look at what the finances currently are, we are currently spending just under £18,000 a week, so thankfully it does mean we've got around about 7,000 spare going into the start of next season, so that is going to be useful, putting some of those players onto fully professional contracts, and also we might be able to sign a few new players as well to make sure that we are a bit more competitive up in the free Liga. Hopefully, based on our form this season down in this division, we should be competitive enough anyway to make sure that we can stay up in that division. But as expected, the club is going to turn professional off the back of going up to the free Liga. And going forward a few weeks off the back of that meeting about us turning professional, as well as getting our transfer budgets for our first season in the free Liga next year, we have played those 2 games off camera to end the season and are now ready to get stuck in to our first end of season review here at Lokomotive Leipzig. First off, the signings. Not all of these were made by me. Quite a few of them actually were made by the previous manager going into the season in real life, but one of the ones that we did make did end up being the signing of the season in Kevin Zizek. To be fair, didn't actually contribute as much as someone like Ricardo Grimm, with his goal output, or at least goals contribution, only 14 compared to 15, but slightly higher average rating. I think he is going to be our starting striker over Ziani going into next season up in the free Liga. But Kevin Zizek did pick up the signing of the season. A few of those other ones, as I said, weren't actually signings that I made. The other 2 which we made were Panzu Ernesto down the bottom on a 6.9, and also Mark Lamptey, albeit we didn't actually play him at all because, of course, he was on a non-contract and would have been getting a very high appearance fee if we did use him. So those were the signings for our first season in charge here at Lokomotive Leipzig. They were the ones that we got rid of. Only 2 players that we sold. One was Yun Soo Gung. He wasn't good enough. He went back to South Korea. And also Bogdan Rangelov. That was because he was a non-EU player, so he would not have been able to play for us this season anyway. We got £8,250 for him, and those were the 2 players that we did get rid of. Going forward to this season, results obviously good because we only took part in the 1 competition, and in the end we did pick up a 9-point win over Energie Cottbus. It does mean that we did pick up wins in our last 2 games of the season, 2-0 away at Chemnitz before a 4-1 win over Karl Zeiss Jena. It does mean we pick up both a record for points in the season. In fact, Energie Cottbus also would have broken the point record if not for us, and also by 1 goal, thanks to those 4 goals that we did score on the final match day. We did break the record for goals scored in a season in the Regionalliga Nordost as well. So in the end, a record-breaking campaign here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Just those 3 losses early on in the season to our title rivals in Energie Cottbus, and a few late to Hertha Berlin 2 and BFC Dynamo, which did mean it just got a little bit iffy there briefly, but thankfully we did still pick up the league title and got promoted to the free Liga fairly comfortably. Going forward to the moments to remember, our biggest win was back in November, 7-1 at home over Greifswald. Apparently the match to remember, 6-2 away at Rot-Weiss Erfurt. To be fair, that was somewhat memorable because it was the debut of Kevin Zizek, and he did pick up a hat-trick while Ziani was out injured. And the goal of the season actually came in a game where we did drop points. It was away at Victoria 1889, and it was the opener from Ricardo Grimm. This was a game that we really should have won, but unfortunately the opposition scored with their only shot on target in the game. But Ricardo Grimm here from a tight angle does put that one away. Bottom left corner, I do think we actually scored some better goals than that, but the game thinks that that was our goal of the season from this past year. So Ricardo Grimm does pick up that award. Going forward to the finances, in terms of reputation, we do move up from regional to national, albeit still rated at 2 stars. And in terms of the revenue, not much to think about there just yet, because it is only our first season at the club. And in terms of the merchandise sales, the top shirt seller was Sasha Fifa. I can understand that because we do have an update on him coming up shortly, but as well as that, Atilgan, who performed very well for us on the left wing, our new striker in Zizek, as well as our first choice starter in Ziani, also up there, as well as Abdullah Mane in the midfield. We go forward to see how we did line up in this past season, the best 11, which of course will also start off as our overall best 11 for this save. And to be fair, very similar to what we did put out as our first choice 11 for most of this season. Just the one change, they have got Julian Weigl in there over Abdullah Mane in the midfield, which is interesting. But apart from that, it was our first choice 11 for the large majority of this season, when we did not have any injuries or suspensions to deal with. And going forward to the club awards, the fans player of the season is the captain in Sasha Fifa at 36 years old. And while we are on the subject of him, that will be the last time that he does get the chance to win that award, because he has announced he is retiring come the end of this season. To be fair, we're probably going to let him go from his contract anyway on £1,500 a week, so it does mean we do need to find a new first choice right winger come this upcoming transfer window to move up to the Free League. But Sasha Fifa did score a goal in that final game against Kalzai and did pick up the fans player of the season, young player of the season, deservedly. Osman Atilgan, usually a striker, but we put him out left wing, and he did a brilliant job for us. We saw signing of the season and goal of the season before, but top goal scorer Ziani with 20, most assists Atilgan with 14, and most player of the matches was Fifa with 5, and he also had the highest average rating with 7.2. And in terms of competition awards, Jamal Ziani did pick up the top goal scorer for the Regionalliga Nordost. And going over to the record breakers, obviously there's going to be quite a few of these in our first season at the club, just going down a little bit. Interesting to see there. Also, most player of the matches in the season did go to Jamal Ziani, so he did tie FIFA for that award. But obviously, a lot of these are just in-game because it is our first season in charge here, although Ziani did break the 100-goal mark for the club at 101. Also, youngest player, Linus Zimmer, the oldest player, did end up being Sasha Fifa, getting a goal in that final game at 36 years old, and Zimmer did pick up the youngest goal scorer as well. Also worth noting, fastest goal is set at 26 seconds by Jamal Ziani. And going forward to the history in the making, that spell of football in the middle of the season was the making of Lokomotive Leipzig. It really set us up for success. And I think that's a pretty fair comment. We didn't drop many points off the back of that first loss to Energie Cottbus, just dropped a few late, but thankfully we had a big enough gap by that point of the season, and we make our way forward to the Dynamic Manager timeline. We'll see what's on this for the first year of the save. We were hired on the 4th of July. We got someone in as our assistant manager. Also, Panzo Ernesto and Mark Lamptey did get signed. Our biggest win, as you saw before, 7-1 over Griefswald. And going forward, we did pick up a record points haul for the Regionalliga Nordost. Also made our way into the New Zealand Hall of Fame, albeit that is not much of an accomplishment in Football Manager. We picked up the league title, and Jamal Ziani became the top goal scorer for the league in this season. And that's about all that there is on the Dynamic Manager timeline. No doubt that will change over the course of this save, but that pretty much does it for the end of season review for this first season here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Making our way up a little bit, having a quick look at the club vision and expectations. Interesting to see now some interesting stuff there from the board in terms of culture going in to this upcoming season. There's a lot of interesting and somewhat counterintuitive stuff there. Play attacking possession football, make the most of set pieces, also be entertaining and high tempo pressing. Obviously that's been adapted by what we've done here this season with our fluid counter-attacking style. There's a lot there. We'll try and get rid of something like make the most of set pieces, but usually the game doesn't really let you change this stuff, and again, it will not do so, so it does mean we are going to have to stick with all of that stuff in the board culture, so it probably means we're going to have to stick with this tactic going in to the Free Liga next season. Also, they just want us to work within the wage budget, maximum 1-year contracts for players over the age of 32, and our goal for the next couple of seasons is just to make sure we don't get relegated from the Free Liga. In fact, it's not even that, it's just to attempt to avoid relegation up in the Free Liga, so the board don't have too high expectations for us up in the Free Liga for next season. But obviously, seeing as we can't change any of that stuff, we are going to accept that. Also, just a quick update on the supporter profile. There's been a slight drop in family supporters and a slight increase in fair weather fans, but overall not much has changed in terms of our core and hardcore supporters from the start of the save. Also, we do have an end of season team meeting to get stuck into, so we're going to get through this and see what we can do. Now, obviously, we won't tell them. We haven't done a good job playing the style that we were supposed to this season, so there's not really a suitable option here for us. I'm going to tell the guys, I think we want to solidify our position, and with the right additions to the squad, we can get a mid-table finish. Obviously, they're going to get upset because there was no option there for me to actually say we need to try and fight against relegation. But yeah, we've kind of got ourselves into trouble there just a little bit, so we'll try and get our way through this. We'll also tell them to enjoy their breaks, and we'll discuss promises when they are back at the start of the preseason, and thankfully that's got them back on my side. So that's the team meeting. That one, a bit of a disaster, but that's partly the game's fault, not giving me an option to try and tell them that we just want to fight against relegation come next season, the end of season break. Not a very long one, only 2 weeks. The players come back on the 19th of June. And as I said, a quick squad update going into next season while we are on the subject. As I said, Fefa is going to be retiring come the end of this season. He is, of course, 36 years old. Did have a contract extension, but we had not triggered it. We need to decide that he was going to retire. And to be fair, at 36 years old was probably the right time for us to move on from him. And obviously, moving back up to professional football might not have been what he was after anyway, so it does mean we need a new starting right winger for our first season up in the Free Liga. Also, other players we're probably going to look at letting go of, just looking at the potential of some of these players in the squad. Dennis Dickman, his contract will expire. We had him transfer listed. No one bought him, so he can leave as a 2-star current ability goalkeeper. Also, Mike Saluski was quite good for us at left back this season, but 33 years old, 2.5-star current ability and potential. I think we'll let his contract expire and we will try and sign a new left back. Of course, we do have Linus Simmer in that area with good potential. He might actually be our starter going into next season, no matter who we do bring in to replace Saluski. And also David Urban, I think, is the other player who might leave us. 31 years old, a decent centre back, but hopefully we can find someone a little bit younger and with a bit more potential. So I think those are the 4 players who will be leaving us come the end of the season. Fefa with retirement, but also Urban, Dickman and Saluski because their potential isn't quite high enough. And going forward, only 1 click off the back of the end of season review. Already there's been some stuff happening here at the club going into the start of the Free Liga. Make sure our schedule for next season doesn't get affected by any adverse weather conditions. They are investing £2 million into the stadium to get some undersoil heating. So I'm surprised we actually have the funds to do that, because going over and having a look at the finances, we are £700,000 in the red. Hopefully we get some money when we do make our way up to the Free Liga, and that can help us out. Also, the fact now we might be able to sell some players for some decent money as a professional club. That probably won't happen for a little while yet, being all the way down in the 3rd tier, but that is an interesting investment there by the club, already in debt, and now they are spending £2 million to upgrade our ground to make sure that we don't have our fixture schedule mucked up going into our first season in the Free Liga next year. But I think that will do it for today's episode. Just the 1 game, but it was all we needed to wrap up the Regionalliga Nordost title. We also had our first end of season review of the save, and also that information about the fact that we are going to turn professional going into our first season up in the Free Liga. If you did enjoy today's episode in this first season of the Leipzig Loko here with Lokomotive Leipzig, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back hopefully tomorrow. Not long in terms of an off season, as you saw before, only 2 weeks. Not too sure how much of a gap there actually is until we actually start the free Liga season, but I think we'll come back tomorrow and hopefully do a transfer special, albeit it will depend how much money we do have spare once we do sign our players onto professional contracts. When the club does turn professional, there might not be that many signings. If that is the case, we might also have to include our first game of the new season as well, but not really too sure what's going to happen transfer-wise. It will depend how much wage budget is spare once we do sign all of our players onto professional contracts, at least the ones that we do want to keep around. So not really too sure we are going to look to improve the squad just yet. We'll get stuck into that when we do come back for the next episode, but thankfully next season we will be up in the Free Liga as a professional club. So until tomorrow, we will try and strengthen the team going into that first season up in the third tier of German football. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, life through the sadness. Don't know how I ended up so lost. Sink through the deep end, hurt and